Left me on red.
Listen,
Hello, everyone. Welcome to It's Sybil. I am Sybil Wilkes, and they're squabbling already. Uh, it's a good-natured squabble, I promise you.
Yes.
Hello, Kwynn Townsend Riley. How are you?
Man, there's been so much going on after. I feel like my favorite skincare routine is being in the presence of Beyonce because my skin is just still glowing from the concert. I thank God for Beyonce Giselle Knowles Carter for just resuscitating me in many, many ways. I'm just so grateful and privileged for the opportunity to see her at her last concert this weekend in Kansas City. And then coming to work, we had a teach-in where a group of faculty and staff, we organized this concerted effort to teach things outside of our formal curriculum in relation to queer resistance, because we've
Oh,
been experiencing a harasser coming on campus, dispersing KKK propaganda and anti-queer just leaflets all throughout campus. And our campus police, our university president has not said anything. And it's just like incessant type of harm. So we want to hold this type of space for students and faculty and staff. And it was great. It was so good. And I'm just holding all those things while also, recognizing that violence is still happening globally. But I'm really good. I feel really tender and cool. So yeah.
tender and cool. That's an interesting place to be. That's really an interesting description of your state of being. Stephen Hill, are you feeling energized after being a part of the Beehive in
I am
Kansas
too.
City?
I am too. I saw show number 7 in Paris and her final show number 56. Ironically, the world champion was in the home of the world champions in Kansas City.
Uh-huh.
Uh, I'm just going to assume that Kwynn was not in section 517, the only section to fail the mute challenge. You know,
Oh no, that's
Beyonce has
funny.
Beyonce has this part where everybody on mute and the whole stadium's supposed to go quiet. And the moment that stadium goes quiet is so powerful. And then some eggheads up in 517 that I'm sure we're not brothers and sisters. It's like, woo, woo, woo! Man, I was
And
with some
ruin
people
the
from her team.
moment.
I was with some people from her team, and they wanted to go beat their ass. Like her team was like invested in this as well. They want to go beat her ass. So anyhow,
Wow.
but I'm like Kwynn and just energized. I've seen two of the best shows. Somebody asked me yesterday, 5 best shows I've ever seen. I'm like, 2 of them I actually saw this week. Uh, Beyonce and then U2, but we'll talk about those later. U2 in that dome is amazing. U2 in that dome in Vegas is a completely step up in show production. So I, like Kwynn, am energized by the events that I've this past weekend.
And if anybody knows about the production and the values there that you get from the for any different venue, it would be you. So good on you. Wow,
Yeah, yeah.
what a an exciting week you both have had.
I know.
And Myra J, I think, is in the midst of an exciting week. She's working, so is not able to join us tonight. But I'm glad you two are here as we talk about things that are going on in our world, in our communities, and of course, we start off by talking about the What You Need to Know newsletter. This is our Monday through Friday newsletter in which we seek to superserve the African American community with stories for and by Black people. Kwynn Townsend Riley is our LGBTQ plus contributor, and her big brother is Cameron Riley, and he is our political contributor. Also, you will read through the week social justice pieces that are contributed by Coy Malone and mental health and wellness by Aprilette Russell. All our youngins are on the shows during the week to talk about these things and also to give you these stories from their perspectives. And so, if you'd like to join the What You Need to Know news crew, and we would love to have you, please subscribe. It's absolutely free. Go to sybilwilkes.com to sign up and give us your name and your email address. We'll have it in your email box every Monday through Friday. Young Kwynn, let's talk about it. And an interesting story in which you talk about Pope Francis and will he allow same sex unions to be blessed by the Catholic Church? Not marriages, not marrying them in the church, but will their partnerships be blessed by the church? What is going on?
This is actually some good news, some optimism, I would say,
Yeah.
in terms of efforts of affirming members of the queer community. So on Monday, the Vatican released a letter from Pope Francis that he wrote to the cardinals. The cardinals are 5 conservative popes and priests from Europe, Asia, Africa, and the United States that had challenged Pope Francis to affirm the church teachings on gays, women's ordination, and the authority of the Pope and other issues. And so this was a response to that letter in which the Pope said that pastoral prudence must adequately discern whether there are forms of benediction requested by one or more persons that do not transmit a mistaken conception of marriage. Because when a benediction is requested, it is expressing a request for help from God, a plea to be able to live better, a trust in the Father who can help us live better. And he goes on to say that the allowance for pastoral ministers to bless same-gender couples implies the church does indeed recognize that holy love can exist between same-gender couples, and the love of these couples mirror the love of God. And so
Wow,
this
that's
Hey,
powerful,
that's big. That's big right there.
right?
this is in a published letter that everybody can see on Monday. And I believe this is, and you guys can tell me, I believe this Pope, I have heard more about his stance on a few like public issues than any of the Pope than I have heard. So I'm not sure if this is like setting a precedent in terms of a Pope really taking the time to comment on national social issues. But I appreciate his accessibility. I appreciate his unveiling of like how he said that mirrors the love of God was just like such a true testament that the relationship between same-sex couples exists. Because I'm not gonna lie, I have to come out to people multiple times when I tell them that I am in a relationship with a woman, because some people think that it is just a phase. Some people think it's just something super sexual that like, oh, it's just a lust thing. Like it's not actual real love. And then some people also think that it's very, very temporary, that I cannot actually find my person, find my peace, find my love in a woman just because religion and biology, right? But here we have the highest, of the high when it comes to religious entities saying that the love between same-sex couples mirrors the love of God. So I'm just grateful. I'm not Catholic, but like I'm grateful that this man of God decided to take the time to address it.
Stephen Hill, I first of all, I'm impressed with when every time she has to come out to people and explain and kind of explain to people who she is and who she loves and all of that. But I gotta say, this Pope has taken a step that, however long lasting this stance by the Pope is, however long it goes into the future, right now, I think he has changed a lot of perspectives and a lot of lives and families within the Catholic Church.
It's one of the coolest things that's gone forward in popedom since the Popemobile. Right? Remember how big how great it was when the Popemobile came? The Popemobile was like, oh,
Very
shoot,
cool.
that
Very
is
cool.
this is the same thing. And like the Pope carries, as you might imagine, the Pope carries a lot of weight. So if nothing else, it will have people who did not share this view will at least have to wrestle with it within themselves. And I think it's a good thing.
And brought a truly an old religion into this century.
Yes.
Which none of them have really done. I mean, when you talk about women being priests, we're not going to talk about that. When you talk about priests being able to marry, we're not going to talk about that. But this is a great first step if it does go forward.
Yeah, and I will have to say, like, I have read some articles where some priests are still marrying same-sex couples in their churches at their own discretion. I believe Trinity does marry same-sex couples. I do believe my own church does. But I recognize that some churches don't, just because they do follow the ideology that like same-sex marriages are not affirmed or pleasing to God. Like it's not as sacred or it's not holy because people see it as a sin. But I do agree with you, Sybil. I hope this is just a push towards a different type of learning that we all have learned, even myself. And I also hope that like it just affirms and like gives a hug to lots of people who like harm from religious institutions that have children, that are in a relationship, or just identifying as queer, because National Coming Out Day, I believe, is next week, because it is LGBTQ History Month. So I hope this just is a hug for all of my queer youth, for all of my trans youth, just for folks to see that like love is love, and this love is also mirrored the love that we receive from God too, from my folks who do
Yeah.
believe in the God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty powerful. That's pretty powerful. Um, I don't know what we expected from this Pope. We were hoping that he would be a little bit more advanced, and his travels, his interactions with people indicate that he is very forward thinking and very open in his thinking and action. So good on him, and let's see where it goes. Let's
Yes.
see
Good on
where
him.
this goes. Good on him is right. Yeah. History was made in two distinctly different ways in the legislative body of the United States government yesterday. Um, and I say this because the headline that I chose for this story about what happened in the United States House of Representatives, this was a statement that was made after a vote was taken. The office of the Speaker of the House of the United States House of Representatives is hereby declared vacant. It was vacated by a vote due to a vote taken by Republicans and Democrats alike to remove the then current Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, from his position as a result of a deal that he made in the rush to become Speaker of the House. In his just mono video, I guess, or mono-eyed look at trying to become Speaker of the House, and he made a deal with the devil, saying that if he got the support, if people lent their support, he would also agree to one person being able to put forth a motion for Kevin McCarthy to vacate this high position if they didn't like something that he did. Well, he kept the government open with the help of the Democrats. Let's put it there, and they did not like this, and this continuing resolution that was passed and kept the government open, kept millions of people on their jobs, and did not include funding for the continuing guarding of the borders, the southern border, especially between Mexico and the United States or Texas. So they were very unhappy with this. Gates, who is a bit of a thorn and has been a bit of a thorn in the side of Kevin McCarthy, a very conservative Matt Gaetz from the state of Florida, put forth this motion, and he needed 4 people to side with him of this group of 8. He needed, just because he had such a slim lead in the House, he needed 4 votes, and 8 people voted against him. 8 Republicans, along with a very unified Democratic Party. And Steve, I know you given yourself the Stephen Housequake Hill, and it was a bit of a quake, and really moving politics and the legislative body. But I also say that the quake was of a different type in the Senate, as history was made, as a Black openly LGBTQ female was sworn in as a senator from the state of California, filling the remainder of the term of the late Dianne Feinstein. Stephen Hill, what are your thoughts on all of this going on?
Let me show you what to do to show you all these are fools. All you need is one. Right.
Right,
Look,
right.
look. Here's what I think. I think the Democrats are as dumb as they could possibly be, and they're now playing a stupid game, right? So to keep the government open like you did, Kevin McCarthy made some Republicans upset. Now, what Democrats could have done is kept Kevin McCarthy in as the Speaker of the House. I need to understand why that would have been a bad move. The Speaker of the House is going to be a Republican, right? And it feels like the best thing to do is have one who is willing to work with them. It feels like the right thing to do is to send the message to Republicans that you don't have all the power over this Speaker of the House. But they
Mm-hmm.
decided because if the Democrats had decided to vote for Kevin McCarthy, he could have stayed in there. We could talk about things like, oh, how we're going to try to work together. This could have changed something. But the fact that Democrats, after uh, Kevin McCarthy, if I'm not mistaken, worked with them, like you said, with the help of some Democrats, the fact that they all
All the
voted against him,
Democrats.
in fact that all the Democrats voted against Kevin McCarthy, I think that's stupid publicity. It's just politics for no benefit, right? What's the benefit of having Kevin McCarthy out, right?
Right. So
It's
let's
just a position. It's
I
just a
know
position.
you put this out here, and we're going to continue this. Time is not our friend, and I spent
Oh,
a lot of
thanks,
time.
Yolanda. Thanks, Yolanda. Sorry for using more than 10 words, Yolanda.
She's just being a dutiful producer, as you know how difficult that job can be.
Well, she
Uh,
certainly put
but we are going to return to this discussion, I
she
promise.
certainly puts the duty in dutiful.
Let's move to the what's really going on section, and we're going to welcome our guests. Just give a little bit of what we're talking about, and I'm really glad that both of you are here tonight to have this discussion because Tuesday night, 5 people, including 4 students, were injured by gunfire following a shooting on the campus of Morgan State University in Baltimore. The shooting at the HBCU happened shortly after the crowning of Mr. and Ms. Morgan State University, a kickoff to homecoming week events at the school. Investigators believe there was a dispute between 2 groups when gunfire erupted near a dorm on the university's campus. Acting police commissioner said that the at least 3 people were believed to have been armed. No arrests have been made thus far. And the president of the school, Dr. Wilson, said more security measures are being implemented on campus. So all events are off for homecoming week as they seek to find the people who did this, as well as to bring some I guess, sense of peace and calm to the campus. And I reached out to a young woman who is a freshman at Morgan State. That is Anaya. She's in the car. Thank you, Anaya, for joining us. And also bringing in her mom, who is 1,000 miles away, as this is going on in Baltimore. So, Danya, thank you for joining us. And Anaya, if you could just give us, and I'll tell you how we got a text that something was going on Morgan State, that there was a shooting. And I text you to see if everything was okay. And you're like, yeah, we just got back to campus and just got back to the dorm, whatever. Can you give us, from your perspective, what happened?
Okay. Can you hear me good? We're good.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, we're good.
Okay. So, of course, to me, I was in the cafeteria when it all started because there was 2 shootings. There was one in front of the fine art system, and then there was one in front of our cafeteria. And of course, I was in the cafeteria. I thankfully didn't hear anything. I didn't hear gunshots. I didn't hear nothing. But there was some like right in front of me because the glass shattered, like not even too far away from me to the cafeteria. But
Hmm.
all I saw was a lot of people running. Like a lot of people running. I just hear they're running, they're running, they're running. Everybody like they shooting, they shooting. So I got up because of course I'm gonna get up. I heard they shooting. I'm out of there. So we all have moved to the back at the kitchen because we were in the cafeteria, so we went to the back. We're all waiting there. Nobody knows what's going on. Nobody knows. Everybody's on the phone calling somebody. It's really chaotic. And then once we leave out of the back, they're like everybody go in Thurgood, which is the dormitory connected to the cafeteria. And so, sorry, um, we all I didn't go in there because that didn't feel right. It was they were just trying to get everybody in there. So what me and my roommate did, we decided to walk back to our dorm, which is all the way across campus, because that of course that seems more safe than where the shooting is. So we walked back to the campus. I'm gonna start walking now. We had to walk all the way back to the cross campus, and we got back to the dorm. It was just all everybody's on lockdown. We still don't know what's going down. We're looking on our social media apps and like our Morgan State social media apps telling about everybody's like, oh, this happened. They're dead. They're this. They're that. It's just a lot of craziness. They're like, oh, my sister died. Somebody's lying. It's just a lot of going on.
Right, right. How did you feel? Were you scared? Were you anxious? Give us that part of it.
Honestly, I was more like, what in the world? I'm just
Mm,
really more in a state of a shock than sad, scared, or anything. I wasn't scared because I honestly, because walking back, we saw like 2 girls laying on the ground. So it was just like,
okay.
wow.
So
They're
if
like,
she
what?
felt
Sorry.
this, if
They were
she
like,
felt this
wow. I was
way,
just like,
I'm sorry, and I was going to ask your mom, Danya, if she felt this way and she's right there, what was going through your mind as you are 1,000 miles away?
One, she was too calm. She was entirely too calm when she called me because I had set my phone down for the evening and I was like, okay, I'm done with social media for the night.
Uh-huh.
And then I got a phone call from her saying, okay, I want to tell you before you found out on Facebook, there was a shooting on campus. And just the way she verbalized it, I didn't think she was serious. So I just kept saying, are you joking right now? Are you serious? I don't know how to take you. And she just was like, oh no, I'm serious. There was an actual shooting on campus. And me and my roommate, because she's always with her roommate, they're such good friends. She was like, we're back in our dorm now. And she didn't give me any background information, any of this
Hmm.
that she was had to go to the everything she just told you, she did not tell me, which
This
I'm
is all news to you.
exactly. This is my first time hearing all of this, which I'm kind of glad because I don't think I would have slept because I barely slept last night as it was,
Sure.
just watching every news article, everything on news that I could find, everything on Facebook, which I had to get off of Facebook. There was so much misinformation out there just saying, like she was saying, some people were saying that people had passed away and all of
Yeah.
this. And I can't imagine with me being all the way in Texas, if I did find out on Facebook and I heard all this misinformation, how paranoid and how frantic I would have been if I hadn't got that call from her first.
Yeah, yeah. Kwynn, let me ask you, as one who is a professor on campus, and you look, I mean, you feel as though you look as though you are emotionally attached to this. What goes through your mind as an instructor there, and as who hasn't been an instructor but was a college student not too long ago?
Yeah, I'm thinking first of how to be there for the students, because the calmness, I think, is such a instantaneous reaction as marginalized folks to try to have some type of steady line of our emotional management, right? Because if we actually do respond, then that means the situation is real. And a lot
Hmm.
of times our safety net is to pretend as if like, okay, this isn't happening. I'm gonna just go back to my dorm. And I know like universities, I believe all universities, unfortunately, but fortunately, do have like safety plans in regards to shootings on campus. But I'm always concerned about the transparency in terms of communication that's being sent to students and their families, right? Like
Right.
how are we communicating to let all of these people that have gotten their students here know that we are still holding them, because parents are trusting these institutions when they drop them off. Like, I'm going to see my child, come Christmas break, or at least like, 4 years later with a degree. And we were talking about that at JMU today, like I mentioned, with the guy who's been patching out KKK information, because a lot of faculty was just like, man, like we have to do something about this guy, we have to do something about this guy. And I was like, what about the students? How
Right.
are we holding the students in this moment? Has there been a circle? And I appreciate that the president of the university has canceled classes. I think that's very smart in regards to holistic wellness. I hope that the students can still have a moment of joy and celebration, but I believe that's always important, as university professors and even admin, to actually admit like what's actually happening right now and not assume as if like business has to go on as usual. Because if we continue to feed that to our youth, they will never take the time to actually grieve or celebrate. They just keep working.
Right.
it was me.
Anaya, has anyone reached out to you? Have you had a guidance a director or someone from the social services at the university reach out to you guys and ask you how you're doing, or even your RA? I mean, somebody within the university system.
The counseling center has reached out to us. They took that out information. Of course, my RA has reached out to me. I'm really close with my RA. Um, this I feel like it's normal. It's usually what happens like last year. I mean, at my high school because there was a shooting not far, not on campus, but like someone died from our school. So I feel like it's normal for counseling to
So
stop.
we're having a little difficulty in seeing Anaya for one thing, as well as hearing her, because Anaya is as other kids will do. You have classes are canceled. You don't know what's going on campus. So she and her roommate and friends are leaving town and they're going away for the weekend. So and that might be something that Danya is finding out for the first time too. Uh, Danya, have you received anything from the university today regarding the situation?
Another one of my friends asked me that, and I have not. Everything I'm finding out on social media or through Anaya.
Mm,
I haven't, and I signed myself up for this alert system that the school has,
hmm
but I never get an alert. And I'm not sure I need to go in. I guess I need to try to uninstall and reinstall because I never get any type of alert. Nothing.
Stephen Hill, you dropped a young man off at college just a
I
few
did.
weeks ago. How does this make you feel? And what are the thoughts that are going through your
I did.
head as we're talking about the situation at Morgan State? And he's frozen. So let's go back to Anaya. If you can hear us, Anaya, and talk to us a little bit. You don't have to give us a blow by blow, but did you find out about the identities of the young people who were wounded?
Who are wounded?
Yeah, who were
No,
wounded in the shooting?
no, I have no. We have no information.
Okay, okay. Well, I
I'm
Someone
mean,
say
if they're
that.
doing their due diligence. Yes, thank you, Thomas Bennett Jr. Dr. Wilson has put out a statement on social media, and that was part of what I read from Dr. Wilson. And so I guess parents can go and look that up on social media. Just want to say, Anaya, I appreciate your coming on and talking about this a little bit. We'll continue the conversation with your mom, and you have a good and safe weekend. Okay.
Of course, thank you.
Okay, make good
Bye.
choices. See ya. Janice Eatman on Facebook says, I have family who are Morgan State alum. It is frightening to know that the persons are still at large. I can't imagine what it's like for the students, faculty, staff, and parents praying for the injured and the university community. Yes, absolutely. And Danya, I know when you took Anaya to school, a part of this, her going away for college was, being able to get to her as quickly as possible. Does that still stick with you, and especially in light of what happened?
Absolutely. Now
Yeah.
it's even more of a point that I'm trying to stress to her now. It's like, okay, see, this is why I needed you in Texas, or I needed you closer to Texas.
And Stephen Hill
But
is
Because
shaking his head.
goodness knows nothing like this ever happens in
I
Texas.
know exactly, exactly.
Uh,
Imagine
but
that. But
yeah, no, and I'm sorry about but I'm literally sitting in my house and the Wi-Fi doesn't work. Look, when I went there, I wanted to make sure they had some kind of readiness preparedness program, and they had some kind of alert system for lockdown. Should there an active shooter be discovered? I'm also very realistic that the before an active shooter is discovered, there could be some damage done. I also don't let that rule the way I live my life. Um, so I don't spend a lot of time worrying about if there's an active shooter on campus. I have to admit. Um, but I did want to make sure that should that happen, that the school was prepared in some way. We know, where they're going to where they put the kids, tell them to lock down. They had a good communication system, and Jaden's school does have that.
But this is where we are. This is where we
Oh
are.
yeah.
Quinn, was this a concern when you were in school?
No, and that's why I think what was heartbreaking to hear from Anaya as well is that she experienced this before when she was in high school, and being from the south side of Chicago, like I am used to the melody of gunshots, and also
Hmm
the feeling of heartache and grief of like losing. I should have, my high school graduating class should have been way bigger like than it was,
Mm,
but it wasn't.
Wow.
And
Wow.
so I reflect often on how numb I've become to violence and just bullets and all the things. But I hurt for these children that it's really normal for them. And even just universities, like I can't imagine one day I'm gonna
Mhm.
raise a child and I'm gonna have to make sure the university has a lockdown procedure. Like
Mhm.
I'm already looking forward to asking them about scholarships and making sure they got good.
Right.
But like, I'm gonna make sure you have a lockdown procedure. It's just like what? How? When did we get to
And
this?
how
Yeah.
did we get to this point? So not only do you have to worry about a lockdown procedure, we know that this is something that happened not too long ago on the campus of Howard, in which young people were robbed of their goods from people who are coming onto campus and doing these dastardly deeds. Also, we have infrastructure problems at some of our HBCUs, as we saw in Atlanta not too long ago. All of these things, it just doesn't seem fair, Danya, that all of these things you have to worry about when sending your child off to school. And certainly nothing that my mother had to worry about. And I dare say Stephen Hill's parents had to worry about, his mom had to worry about as this was going on, as they were shunting us off to school, right?
Right. Honestly, like Quinn was saying, or Quinn was saying, I apologize. I
Mhm.
didn't even think about a shooting, or that never crossed my mind when we were looking at schools. I was looking at
Mhm.
the dorms because she had her heart set on going to an HBCU. I was like, okay, what do the dorm rooms look like? What does the
Because
campus look like?
historically, we know what some of the dorms look like on HBCU campuses.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. And so it never once crossed my mind that I needed to worry about a shooting. And even now that it's happened, I don't want that to be the reason that she comes home, or that's the reason that she leaves that school and decides to go
right,
to a different school.
right.
I still want her to have the best experience that she can possibly have at the school that was her top choice.
Yeah, yeah. And even today, Stephen Hill, there was a shooting in Holyoke, Massachusetts, the town where Mount Holyoke is. And so, and they're not saying that it is related to the college campus, but it can happen in your town. And certainly, Baltimore is an example of that. And now Holyoke is an example of that. It could happen in Evanston, Illinois. Look what happened at a Fourth of July parade, in the town where I went to college. All of these things, you just never know, but you have to prepare yourself and your children as you're going out there, right, Quinn?
Yeah, I also remember that at my alma mater, I went to University in Ohio. There wasn't a school shooting, but there was a shooting in the Oregon district where all of us were illegally drinking. But the cultural staple to hear that over a handful of people were murdered randomly.
Yeah,
Like it's always the randomly that just never I can't just stomach, because usually a lot of times people think about violence, they think of like a reason or some type of preceding behavior that led to this, because we want to make sense of it. But accepting that all of these situations are senseless is like the hardest pill to swallow. And I think that's why like a lot of folks have not even thought about it, or we don't think about it because it seems too uncontrollable. Like it's
hmm
almost like, can we actually, stop it?
Stephen
Look,
Hill, what are you saying?
gun control max with increased health care, because it's never random in the shooter's mind. The shooter
Mhm.
rarely just goes out. There's a reason, whether it's mental illness, whatever the reason might be, whether it's hate, whether it's love. In the shooter's mind, it's random in our minds because we can't process, like you said, Quinn, but it's hardly ever random in the shooter's mind. There's a reason that makes sense to the shooter, if no one else on the planet, as to why they're doing this horrific thing.
Yeah.
Uh,
Danya,
and and, we, and it feels like we should attack both the gun and the reasons that these things might exist.
Mhm.
and two things can happen simultaneously. I don't
Mhm.
care what
Mhm.
anyone
Yeah.
says. We only can focus on this, or we can only no. You can do both. You can walk
Yep.
and chew gum. You can focus on the gun, and you can focus on how and why they have a weapon, as well as how they came to be in this position.
Mhm.
Danya, speaking as a mom who is, I don't want to say that you're helpless, but speaking as a mom who is far away and doesn't have a direct hand on the situation, what would you like to see happen from the university or on campuses regarding letting the parents know? Because as you said, you thought you signed up for something and you didn't get this word.
Yeah, I really think that there needs to be more. I don't know if they need to do testing of the system or what the case may be to make sure that we are getting notification the way that we should be getting notified. There's just no way I should have found out either by the call from my daughter, which I'm glad I got it, or by looking on Facebook by other parents because I'm in a parent group. It was other parents spreading all this information. So there has to be a better way to communicate all of this information out there as opposed to just depending on social media. We know social media is great, but that shouldn't be what I'm depending on to get all of my need to know information.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tanya, for coming on. I know that you're still kind of emotionally fraught by all of this, and thanks to Anaya if she's still with us. I know she's getting her weekend underway, so I appreciate you guys taking the time. And just know that prayers are with you and all the other parents and students on the campus of Morgan State, as well as all of our campuses, because no one wants to get that call that there's a shooting on our child's college campus, whether it's in Virginia or Maryland or Washington, D.C. or Chicago, Illinois. I don't know. So thank you so much, Tanya, and continue to be the strong, loving mom who allows her child to go away and to live her life on a city campus.
I'll do what I can. Thank you for the invite.
You're doing a great job. So thank you, darling, for joining us. I appreciate you. I'm really glad you guys were here because I think that you give us a real perspective there, Kwynn, as one who is on a college campus, and Stephen Hill, as I said, as a parent who recently escorted his young man to college. So thank you for joining us and being a part of that conversation. Let's move to trending and things that are going on. And if we get any more information about Morgan State, we will definitely bring that to you before the show is over. So Stephen Hill, where's your
Yes.
songbird going to be appearing?
She's actually, I think she's just landed. I just found that she landed, and she's in New Orleans, Louisiana, for the Ashe Rooftop Festival this Friday. I look forward to going down to New Orleans, getting some cream-filled food. Creamy filling top food. Yeah. Creole. Thank you. Great. Thank you. It's supposed to be like cream sauce. I love cream sauce and stuff. Spicy cream sauce. And that's the thing. Anyhow, so she'll be there on and then DC. I'm missing some, but she's gonna be in DC on November 4th and 5th at the Bethesda Jazz and Blues Festival. Love going to DC.
Is that November? Is that November 4th?
That's November. That's November 4th and 5th.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. So tell us, how wonderful was Beyonce? Who wants to go first?
Stephen got the better seat than me. I was in the 100 section. I'm pretty sure he was in the club, or if not, backstage. But I think overall, where should I start? First of all, traffic was crazy.
Yeah.
I left out at 6 p.m. because they said, not 6 p.m. I left out at 5. And Ashley and I bought our outfits late. At first, we weren't going to do the whole hat thing because we're like, we don't want to be like everybody else. But then as time inched up to it, we're like, we need a hat. We're going to look great. So we ran to Party City. Unfortunately, they had like these leftover rodeo hats that actually lit up. Like they had a whole battery like in them.
Oh, wow.
So she got the lit up one, but I wanted to be a little extra. So I got like a zebra hat one with like pink fur, and it was like all these chandelier things, which I ended up not even wearing because I actually wanted to wear like my aluminum foil vest. Anywho, so we left out and traffic was
foil vest.
And it was interesting seeing like cars also full of kids on the way to the concert. And I was like, oh wow, Beyonce is multi-generational. Like Beyonce exists, outside of color lines. Like everybody was there. And it was the best dressed concert that I've ever been to. Like usually these people just come in, looking cute in their own definition. But when I tell you everybody was on theme, and you could tell people put intention, and
it was Kansas City, baby. They come dressed to impress.
I was like blown away and just so honored to be in that audience. She performed everything from Before I Let You Go to Love on Top. Her voice was perfect. I didn't even hear her breathe. So I don't know or if her control is just that great, but it was buttery. It was smooth. The choreography, she had this big old horse that just popped out of nowhere. Like I was like, where? It was just one thing after another. Like if you have ADD, it was perfect because you were looking at all these different things at once. Like, there's no way your eyes could absorb everything at once. Like it was great. I wish I could see it. I wish I could experience it all over again.
That was your first one, right?
That was my first time seeing Beyonce.
Okay, cool. So,
Yeah.
if I a couple things.
And what number was this for you, Stephen Hill?
I only saw it twice. I saw show number 7 and then show number 56, which this was. The last one was 50. She did 56 shows on the tour. You talked about the dress and how you never see people dress up like that. Well, here's the thing. I came up during the Michael Jackson, Prince, Madonna era, where people used to come dressed up like Prince and Michael and Madonna for their shows. But what I had never seen before this show is people dressed up in a theme. They weren't dressing up like Beyonce. Beyonce set a theme. It's like for the old school folks, it literally like she was the Wiz. I'm telling y'all right now, y'all better deliver because the day's color is silver. You know, that's exactly what it was. And everybody showed up in silver, their own manifestation of it. And it wasn't to be like her. So while I'd seen people dress up like Michael, Madonna, and Prince before when they go to their shows, never something like this. Blue Ivy, number 7 was actually I saw Blue Ivy's first and last show. Her first show was Paris, and she was first of all she had flat soles moon boots, glasses on to protect herself, and was moving kind of hesitantly or like first time. Baby, by 56, she knew everything. She was so assured confidence. Her makeup was so unbelievably flawless. Her makeup was crazy, and she did it in heels. 11 3/4 years old is how old Blue Ivy is. Blue Ivy is the same age now as Michael Jackson was when he sang ABC. When he sang ABC in the studio, that's how old he was. Michael Jackson was doing arenas, and I get, Mom's the main act, but Blue Ivy killed the entire stadium. And to watch something that was awesome at show number 7 be even better in show 56. Kwynn, you may not know this, but you actually got an extra section of the show that only got played 6 times during the show. The section of the show that had Thick and Drunken Love was not in every show. It wasn't in the Paris show. It was only in the Inglewood show, Atlanta, maybe both Houston's, and Kansas City. Like of all 56 shows, that section that you got to see with Drunken Love and Thick only happened in the show. It was spectacular. That's my review.
And she did the electric slide too. I was like, Beyonce is me. Me is Beyonce. We cousins. I love you. And I was like, I love you too. Like it was just like, it was good. And she's releasing a movie and she has a perfume now.
Yeah,
like,
we're going to talk about the movie in the entertainment section too. I promise we will. So it sounds like you guys had great moments, and I'm really happy for you. I love to hear that, the love for the artist that we often hear from Stephen Hill, but as a real fan, Kwynn, in hearing you break it down and express all of that, that's really very special. So good.
Little inside information. So the show ended. She came on about an hour and a half late. Show started at 9:35. Ended around 12:40. I don't know what time you got home, but I did an Uber. Bad idea. Didn't get back to my place till 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
She and her team left the venue about 1:30. And I was on the plane with some people I know from the team the next morning. They took the first plane back to LA because they were like, she's going to be in the office waiting for us at 10 o'clock to start working on the film. She's off the stage. She finishes the tour and she's ready to work on the film. And they were all on the very first flight out of
First thing smoking.
Everybody dead sleep on the plane, but heading going home to fresh up and going straight to office because Beyonce was going to be there ready to work.
That's an incredible work ethic. Yes,
yeah. Oh yeah, always has been.
From Kansas City, and so we didn't Uber. It was her little brother that dropped us off, and then her mom that picked us up from the concert.
Very lucky.
Traffic was so indescribable, and there was just this long trek. It was almost just like if you guys watched the movie Prince of Egypt, and they had that long people walking through the sea. It was like this long body of people walking up this hill to BP, where Uber was supposed to pick up everybody. And I don't know about you, Stephen, but I was dehydrated. Beyonce took my whole soul, and I was I couldn't get no t-shirt, I couldn't get nothing, but all I wanted was water. I downed 3 big old bottles of Fiji at the end of the concert, and I didn't recognize my feet was hurting. I didn't recognize my knees was swollen. I was standing the whole time, and we got back home at 3, and me and Ashley were just wow, that was Beyonce. Let's watch it again. And we just watching it on TikTok, just all the different views. It was phenomenal.
Good for you guys. Good for you.
It's great.
Guys.
It's great hearing from your view. I mean, it's great hearing your view from the person seeing it for the first time and really just
Yeah,
Like
but
you
I
win
wasn't
Las
second
Vegas, you did big.
500. Some people said that we won the mute challenge, and
No,
then
nope,
didn't.
nope. Section 5, whatever the section was up there that started woohooing after 3 seconds. It's on my, check it out on Instagram. Like the moment it goes silent is great, and then some fools up there go woohoo, and you can see, if you see my Instagram, there's actually a member from Beyonce's team who keeps looking up going like,
Did she sell out any of the stadiums, or has any artist ever sold out any stadiums like of that size? Like, or is
oh
it?
yeah. There's never been a black woman that's done it. Never, ever. Beyonce's by absolutely the first black woman to sell out 56 stadiums and sell out like clean, like gone, like there's not a ticket to be had.
Wow.
It's a remarkable feat. It's sometimes we undersell it, but like the fact that Beyonce is a black woman who took culture on her back, changed culture with the way that she has people approaching, like, silver, like she played the Wiz and had people dress up.
Yeah, exactly. And doing the doing the slide, the electric slide. That's awesome.
Yes,
One of my top 5 concerts of all time, and I've seen a lot of them. Top 5 of all time.
You've been around a time or two, young man. Yes.
Yeah.
Let's
if you're a rock
talk
fan,
a little.
and if you're a rock and roll fan, U2 at Sphere in Las Vegas is transformative.
Okay, so you want to give us a short review on that?
U2 is one of the biggest bands of all time, biggest rock bands of all time. I really appreciate Bono because he's been philanthropy and making sure people are aware of things for a while. But as a band, they're spectacular. And Sphere is a round building. Just think of yourself going inside of a golf ball, where everything inside is a screen. And so, what you're able to do with those screens is just next level. It's hard to explain. Again, I have some more stuff on my Instagram. Stephen Granthill on Instagram?
Yes.
Yeah, Stephen Grant. That's Stephen Granthill on Instagram. But it's an astonishing technological achievement.
Wow, that's awesome. Let's talk a little reality. People are on strike in this country, not the least of which are the United Auto Workers. They're about to hit their 3rd week of being on strike. And as a result, Ford has laid off almost 400 workers in Michigan because of the strike. An estimated 350 workers at the Livonia transmission have been asked not to report to work tomorrow, while 50 employees at Sterling Axle have been told layoffs will take effect on Thursday. The Ford spokesperson said these are not lockouts, these are layoffs and a consequence of the strike at the Chicago assembly plant, because these 2 facilities must reduce production of parts that would normally be shipped there. And Chicago Assembly builds the Ford Explorer, the Lincoln Aviator, and the Police Interceptor. The 400 layoffs are in addition to the 930 layoffs that have already taken place at facilities, bringing Ford's total to approximately 1,330 employees affected by the strike-related work. That's real. 75,000 people, as many as 75,000 on strike with Kaiser Permanente, and they have medical facilities across the country. And it's strike time, and of course the actors are still on strike, although the writers have come back. Check out this story. American Airlines apologized to a black man, and you may know this black man, Stephen Hill. He's a musician accused of human trafficking his biracial sons. David Ryan Harris was flying with his boys to Los Angeles, and 2 young boys. And the musician, he's played with John Mayer as well as others. Flying from Atlanta to Los Angeles September 15th, when his family was questioned at the jet bridge. So a flight attendant thought something was amiss. She did not address it on the plane, but once they landed, she was standing at the top of the jet bridge with police officials, and they began to question the young boys, and she asked both the children their names, and he said one was pretty shy. And apparently, she called ahead with some sort of concern that perhaps my mixed children were not my children because they were unresponsive during an interaction with her. And a statement to Harris from American Airlines posted on his Instagram said that the observations of the flight attendant did not meet the criteria for human trafficking. They also said the flight attendant offered an apology to Harris and his family. But as I put on his website or on his Instagram site, I'm looking forward to flying on Harris Airlines because I've seen this happen before. It's happened in my own family, in which my godbrother and his very blonde daughters were not thought to belong together. And this was a case, unfortunately, that the police were involved. And it's happened not only on American. Southwest Airlines has announced the start of an additional training curriculum that updated procedures for identifying and addressing suspected instances of human trafficking. California mother is suing Southwest for accusing her of child trafficking her biracial daughter. That took place back in 2021. And she is seeking a jury trial, attorney fees, and costs alongside compensatory damages and economic damages to be established at the trial.
Yeah, I'm gonna be the bad guy on this one.
Of course. I wouldn't expect anything
Look,
less.
because I believe that human trafficking could possibly be the largest crime going under the radar, right? And so I think we should be overly vigilant on things that don't look right. So if you from Nigeria and you with some blonde kids, and there's other tests you go like they're not responsive to you the way you think you're transparent and everything else, I'm perfectly fine with that ask happening. If you are an old Danish woman with a kid who looks like with a black kid, you at least ask the question. Like at least ask the question. I know that's wrong, but as the more I hear about human trafficking, it feels like these are one of those things. It's the thing that like two questions can, if you're wrong, it's an embarrassment. But if you're right, you're freaking saving a life. So
I agree. I think there should be. I don't know what airlines have in place already though, like to identify or like locate this type of like harmful instance that's occurring. And I do think, I think those who are ashamed to ask are ashamed to learn. So I believe that the flight attendant, did what their training was supposed to do. And I understand the embarrassment is like a tough pill to swallow, but at least they can't say that she didn't do her due diligence and like trying to actually help anybody, because it was well intended on those children. It wasn't discriminatory as if she was like targeting a group of people saying you gotta get off the plane because like it was racially motivated. I think it was motivated by protecting a class of vulnerable people that's just like, hey, like this person seems uncomfortable. I'm gonna, call police, unfortunately, for some assistance on this. But I think there should be some type of training for us to notice, because it's changing now. The face of human trafficking is kind of changing, and people are getting more creative to hide under the radar now, which is unfortunate.
It's happened to me. I want to be clear. I'm a firsthand experiencer of having someone being called. Like someone I was working with, we arrived at a work event early, and somebody got called. The person got called over and like, "Are you okay?" And when they came back, like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." They asked me, "Am I okay?" I'm like, "I am not embarrassed at all. I'm not ashamed. I think that's the right thing to do, because as I learn more about human trafficking, I ask the question, embarrass me for a minute or whatever, if it could save a life down the line. This is not about flying while black. It's not about flying while black. It's about, I think Kwynn put it best. It's not about race. It's about this class of people who are underprotected at this point.
If they had the identification that was not asked for.
Wait, say it one more time. I'm sorry.
If the father had the identification, had passports for his sons that were not asked for by the flight attendant before all of this happened, would that change your opinion on this?
I'm not sure I'm understanding. If the father had the passport,
the father had passports for the children, and she did not ask for any identification. She just immediately went into protective mode and wanted to report and went in to report them. Would that make a difference?
Look, I think that's a place to learn. Like, so I think you bring a good point. So perhaps then going forward, the policy could be like, oh, do you have it's hard to ask for documentations of kids, but to your point, if you have passports for the kids, end of story right there.
Right.
But but is the person going to feel worse about? Is it the flight attendant's job to do that, or is that the authority's job to do that? I don't know the answer to that.
Well, if you're going to initiate it, it should be yours. If you're going to initiate the call, then you should take some responsibility. I'm just saying. Let's move to entertainment. And Kwynn, you were talking about the fact of seeing this again. For many of us who couldn't afford it or missed the opportunity to buy tickets to be a part of Beyonce's Renaissance tour around the country, Renaissance Tour, the film, is coming to a theater near you. It'll appear in theaters on Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays for about 4 weeks, meaning the month of December, starting December 1st. Tickets will start at $22 for the standard showtimes. Premium large format screens like IMAX and Dolby Cinema available for a higher fee, as one might expect. And it'll appear on screens at a variety of theaters, including AMC, Cinemark, Regal, Cineplex, and Harkins Theater. So, and this is following on the heels of the Eras tour, which is also coming to theaters near you. Very quickly.
In November.
Right.
Yeah, I'm surprised she didn't sign a deal with Netflix. Like, I don't know if Netflix, I guess, she didn't like the results of Homecoming on Netflix, and she decided to go away, or if she's trying to get, like I don't know, another award going the way of like in theaters or something. But I will say, for the people that couldn't afford, I did see groups of people steal seats, and I'm all down for a finesse. I do work. I am a Marxist, so go get what you want to get, but don't do it next to me. Okay, do not try to take my girlfriend's seat. I had to tell a girl she's gonna have to get her butt up out of my girlfriend's seat because she tried to steal her seat and tried to pretend she couldn't look at her ticket. And I said, "Girl, you gotta go. This is the wrong row." And she literally had the audacity to just sit behind me. Like, she literally just got up a row and just sat right behind me. Like, that's crazy. So maybe she'll go to the movie theater, but I won't go see it in theaters. But everybody else should go see the tour in theaters. It was great.
Well, I will, because I haven't seen the show and heard such great things as you all have demonstrated today. So I'll give her my money, and especially once the Screen Actors Guild strike is over. Stephen Hill,
which they're talking again, by the way. The SAG-AFTRA and the studios are talking again. So there's an ending in sight. I think. Look, what we're going to hear right around the end of December, when the numbers are in, we're going to hear they're going to be comparing the Beyonce and the tour and the Eras tour, right?
Sure.
The movies are absolutely going to be compared to each other.
But if we can make Black Panther such a worldwide hit, we can do that with this tour as well. Yeah, absolutely. Let's close out with Yogi's Jewel, our daily inspiration. People will hear you better when you speak with compassion as opposed to harshness. So inhale compassion. Exhale being mean.
Exhale being mean.
Those are true words spoken from Yolanda Starks White. So exhale that meanness and bring in the compassion. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, you guys.
Compassion for having us go longer on a series when we're having a good conversation about it, or no? No, not that compassion. No.
Sorry. Bye, everybody. Have a good day at school, Kwynn.
Yes, I will.